Passes over to you.
Train spotting Slumdog Millionaire, Shallow Grave, The Beach. Yesterday, our next guest is a storytelling genius, and he's only gone and done it again, but with zombies. 28 years later is out this Friday, so please welcome a legend on our soil. It's Danny Boyle.
Yes, it's Danny Boyle. It's actual Danny Boyle.
Calm down, everyone.
How are you, mate?
Calm down. Yeah, no, good.
Nice
Very
to
good.
see you. What's going on with you?
Very nice to be back, Chris.
You zombied me right out yesterday. Thanks for that. I was having a perfectly lovely Monday till I saw your film. Scared the granny out of me, man.
Oh, good. No, it's obviously it's a horror film. It's meant to. It would have been terrible if it didn't, really.
Made me laugh. Made me cry.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
It's very beautiful, some of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting horror. You got to, if you can get innocence and beauty alongside horror, you got a kind of amazing kind of dynamic range between the two. So you start with these kids and Teletubbies and all that kind of stuff. It's innocent, and then you kind of, you've seen what happens to them, and then you have a movement towards a beauty at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and you sort of blindside us, don't you? That's the point there, isn't it? Is that how you do the love thing? Is that how you made me cry in the middle of it?
Yeah. You obviously, you move towards it and you're just so scared, you're vulnerable. And that you bring in an emotion like that with the boy and his mother, it's very special.
Yeah. All right. So there's so much to talk about in this film. I've got as long as you've got, mate, so don't worry about it. It does start with the Teletubbies. So why would you start a movie with the Teletubbies, Danny?
Well, my life, a great proportion of my life has got 3 kids, has been brought up watching children's entertainment.
Yeah, and a TV show like the Teletubbies is particularly good if you want to date a movie, isn't it?
Absolutely. So this is 28. Everything stopped 28 years ago, and the Teletubbies was around at the time, and so you literally show it stopping, and it then carries on at the end of the movie. It's brought back at the end of the movie with a character who was watching the Teletubbies. So that is going places with this amazing actor, Jack O'Connell. But you've got to watch the second movie for that, which is coming in January. So anyway, so that's just setting that up, yeah.
It's so funny. I came on the air, as usual, Billy Big, you know what's, right? And I came on and I said out loud on the radio this morning, I said, I don't know that much about movies, but I'm guessing there's got to be a sequel to this because you won't believe how it ends. And then Till says, already been filmed, it's already been announced. It's like, oh, okay. I thought it would be some kind of Sherlock perceptive genius, you know what I mean? But it's already in the can.
It is. It's already been shot and it's being edited.
All right, everyone. No, all right, what's that one called?
It's called Bone Temple.
Bone Temple.
All
right, and there's a bit of that going on anyway in the film.
There is.
All right, so you mentioned a callback there. There's a callback within this film, but there's lots of callbacks, lots of nods to 28 Days Later in the film. It's all very clever. It's not arch. It's you at your absolute peak of your powers. How does a human being, and I know you're really good at this, of course you are, you've won an Oscar for it, how do you make Slumdog Millionaire sits in the middle somewhere? I get that, right? I get that the same bloke who made Slumdog Millionaire can make Yesterday. I get that the bloke who made Slumdog Millionaire can make 28 Days Later and 28 Years Later. But getting from 28 years later to Yesterday, now that is a big old leap, isn't it? Not for you.
No. It's like, so I was brought up a really strict Catholic, right?
Right.
And when I left my mother's arms to head out into the world at 17, the first film I ever saw on my own was The Exorcist.
Oh. And that'd do it.
So I can always go back there. I can always go back there to that primal fear that you feel. So I love horror movies, actually. I absolutely adore them. And you try and put a spin in them, something in them that they move towards light in some way. Whether it's like Killian and Naomi in 28 Days Later, or whether it's this movement towards light in this. And that lets you, before you move there, maximise the horror.
Interesting. Let's go to that 17-year-old Danny Boyle then. Danny Boy. And where were you in the world then? You're just watching The Exorcist, your first ever horror movie. You know, as a 17-year-old, I shouldn't imagine, maybe you had dreams about winning an Academy Award. But what were you like then? What were you interested in then? How come that was the first horror movie you'd watched? What else had you seen before that? Where were you cinematically?
I was leaving Manchester, where I grew up, and kind of watching movies there of weird cinema called the Aben Cinema in Hume, which apparently in the cinema at the same time was Morrissey, because he's the exact same age as me, and he used to hang out there a lot as well. And I had no idea who he was, and he probably didn't know either at the time.
Do you know each other now?
No, I've never met him or anything.
Interesting,
yeah,
isn't it?
My kids used to taunt me, because I used to, when I had more hair, I used to look a bit like him, and so my kids used to taunt me with that. They used to find that very amusing.
You don't look unlike Ray Fiennes in this film of yours.
Oh yeah, no, I've shaved all the hair off.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh,
he's great, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we can get onto the cast in a minute, I suppose. There's so much to talk about in the film. Are there rules to a zombie movie?
Rules.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got to kind of like establish the world, the kind of world build how you survive an apocalypse. So you have the survivors, and they live on Holy Island off Newcastle, that island, Lindisfarne. It's a tidal causeway island. And you've got to then decide your infected rules, what powers they have, and whether and the big thing for us was they run fast. That's the thing we changed with the original movie, is because normally the zombies stumble around and you could just stroll away from them, basically.
It's like the
but
90s.
this lot, you can't.
I say it's like the 90s.
Yes, yeah, but now you can. Yeah, exactly, it is. But now you've got to really get a lick on to get away from them, or you've got to have some weaponry. And we're obviously got bows and arrows. It's back to bows and arrows. Yeah.
Yeah, until Eric the Viking turns up anyway. I don't want to.
Yes,
no
that's
spoilers.
true,
Be
that's
careful with the
true.
old spoilers.
Yes, yeah.
It's a great film. There's so much goes on in the film, and it's got so many different sort of rhythms to it, and it's got so many different sort of ingredients. It's got so many different. There are styles within styles, aren't there?
Yeah.
It's family film. It's the island. The what's it called, the island?
Holy Island.
Holy Island. There's nostalgic references. Can I talk about the Shell petrol station, which that was very funny. Is that a gag? The gag?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know the gag I'm talking about?
Yeah, the S has fallen off.
Yes, it's hell, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
It's a hell petrol station. And I thought I'd seen things. I thought, it looked to me like the S had fallen off. And then you go back to it just to make sure we'd seen it, I presume, because you're a genius.
Absolutely, yeah.
You go, he's done the joke. Because I thought, I'm going to say to him tomorrow, imagine if the S wasn't on the shell, it'd be hell. I thought, no, he's just done that. You've just seen it, you thief.
Yeah, that's our designers, actually. Gareth and Carson, they're responsible for that. Very good. I'll tell them Chris Evans gave them a round of applause.
Well, it's so funny because I was going to ask you that question as well. You just reminded me to ask you. It's not on my list this morning, but I thought about it yesterday. I really appreciate what you do for a living. I think you're so good at what you do, blah, blah, blah. You clearly know a lot about all the different genres of film because this is horror. You've done yesterday. You've done all these different films as well in the past, and I'm sure you'll do more in the future. Is there anybody's... Okay, here's the question. Which job on a movie set do you have, not the most respectful, because I know you'd say everybody there, because I thought about that, but which is the job which you least understand, and which you think, in a million years, I have no idea how to do that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is an interesting question. I thought you were going to say what's the job I love the most is the editor, is the one, they get the least credit. I think the one I don't understand is sound. And weirdly, it's the lowest status job in a way on the film set. Everybody's swanning around with the cinematographer and the director and everything like that. But if you don't record, listen, you know this, you work in radio. If you don't record good sound, forget it.
Yeah.
People will watch stuff for a couple of minutes and then they're not interested. They'll just lose interest straight away.
So right.
And they're trying to get in and they're trying to dress microphones on actors, and everybody's going like, I don't need you. I've got the director and the cinematographer to concentrate on me. But it's the most important job in the film. And the one I'd be least qualified, I think, to actually exercise how you capture voices without this huge thing in front of people.
Yeah. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Let's talk about the superstar of the film is the kid. I mean, there's lots of superstars in the film. There's very, very well-known superstars in the film, award-winning household names, and they're all brilliant. They're in a Danny Boyle film. They have to be brilliant. And even if they're not when they arrive, they will be by the time they leave, or the editor will sort it out. Somebody will sort it out. But this kid, who is he? What is his role in the movie? How did you find him?
So he's interesting because if you think about 28 years later, he was 12. He plays a 12-year-old. So, of course, he's been born after the apocalypse, after technology stops. And he's a I guess you'd call him an analog native. You know, they call people digital natives now.
100%.
So that he's been born into a world without. And he, as his father takes him out for his rites of passage, he takes him to the mainland to learn how to kill the infected. And that's where the journey begins. There's a second journey with his mother, which is a much more complicated and eventually very moving one, but not without its own jeopardy. He's a kid, he's called Alfie Williams, he's from Newcastle, young lad from Newcastle. And he's exceptionally good. Yes, I think he's. I don't want to big him up too much because we've got to keep his feet on the ground.
No, he's great, man.
But he's very, very good indeed.
And presumably he's in the sequel.
He is. He follows right the way through, and there will eventually be a third film which he will be in as well. That's the idea. Right.
So I mean, obviously there's a question to be asked, and you've been asked it all week about Bond because of one of the actors in the film. Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
Yeah.
Now, he is the number one favourite to play Bond. You were going to direct a Bond film, and then you weren't, and you didn't. And now Aeon don't own the rights anymore. Amazon do, and they've got David Heyman in, along with somebody else, to produce the new Bond films, and he's brilliant. And I think you know him. And there's a bit...
Very good.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I do, right. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a bit in the film where you reference Bond, and it happened, and then it happens twice more in the film. And I thought, the first time it happened, I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then it happens again and again. Do you know the bit I'm on about?
No, I don't. Go on.
Do you not know the bit I'm on about?
No, it's an accident.
I want to play a song and talk to you about it off the air just to make sure. There's a bit in the film. There's three sequences in the film where there is a circling ring of sparkling fire.
Yes.
And it looks like the beginning of the Bond film. You know, when he turns to...
Oh, my God.
It's almost exactly this. It's the pyrotechnic version of the signature opening Bond graphic. And I thought, that is a nod to what you're doing next. Don't think you can pull the wool over my eyes, Boyle.
Well, I've learned something today. I woke up today and I didn't know that, and now I do.
Do you know the bit I'm on about?
Yeah, of course I do, yeah.
Doesn't it look exactly...
Yeah, I guess it does, but I never realised that. That's what's amazing. People read stuff into stuff, and it's like, I mean, maybe it is unconscious, I don't know. Right.
Now, back to the question which you've been asked loads. You said, no, but the ship has sailed, I think was your actual quote this week. That the Bond ship has sailed. Now, how well do you know David Heyman?
I've been working with him actually on some stuff.
What a coincidence!
There you go. But and he's a top producer, and one of the reasons that Alfie Williams is a great actor is because he does Harry Potter, which is David Heyman's responsible for. Is that Harry Potter has lifted the standard of child acting in this country, as we've seen in many cases. That so it's So then he produces that.
No, talk about that a bit more.
Yeah. So I auditioned a couple of kids, 7 and 9, like 20 years ago for a film called Millions. And the standard of acting then was okay, but it was hard to find kids. You had to work very hard. Now, we searched in Newcastle, the standard is noticeably higher. And that is clearly the influence of Harry Potter. Kids look at these films featuring kids speaking their own language. It's not some Hollywood dialect. It's actually people from their own environment speaking their own language and thinking, I'll have a go at that. And so the standard is way, way higher. And you can see it. Everybody's raving about that kid in adolescence. Yeah. There's an example of an extraordinary performance, So it's Potter's had an incredible influence on us in so many ways. It's literacy. It's obviously done an enormous job reintroducing, making fashionable again literacy, reading books. And also the standard of acting has raised.
Well, you've just joined the final dots in the Bond thing for me then. Because obviously everybody's wondering where Bond's going to go next after what happened, unless you don't know what happened in the last Bond film. People are talking about an origin story. You're talking about kids, actors being brilliant than ever before. You know David Heyman. You're clearly working on the ultimate origin story, the birth of Bond. And there's something that happens in this film, and it really is a spoiler, and I won't talk about it, to do with the birth... Oh, going too far. I'm going too far. I'm putting 2 and 2 together, making 35, aren't I? Can you categorically now say that you're not doing any Bond films?
I'm not, no. It's interesting, this cast, though, because like everybody's talking about Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
Yeah.
When they talked about... I remember when they were talking about a female Bond, I thought... God, you couldn't get a better female Bond than Jodie Comer.
Right.
Who's also in the film. And Ralph Fiennes is already in the Bonds. So we've got like...
This sounds like...
it just seems
this
conspiracy
you're talking
theory.
Yourself into a corner. I'm trying to get you out of the corner. You're walking and talking yourself back into the corner. All right, I'm sorry. I was going to move on. But we've got to stay in this 007 corner of yours, right? Because... You know why Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was made?
Yes, well, it was written by Ian Fleming.
Yeah, that's who it was written by. But why was it made?
No, go on.
It was made because Cubby Broccoli had the next Bond film ready to go, and all the people who were going to be in it and make it, all the crew, they were all set to go for the next Bond movie, and it was postponed for 6 months, and he didn't know what to do, so they made Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is why if you watch the credits of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, it's the same as the credits for the first Bond film. To the gaffer, to the best boy, to everybody.
Is that right?
What do you mean is that right? That's what this film is. You've already got it all ready to go, and you've used this zombie film to see if you all get on, and like, yeah, this is good. We've made 3. Let's get the new Bond film sorted out.
That's a brilliant conspiracy theory, Grizz.
I agree. You talked about the cast, right? Jodie.
Yeah.
And everybody else that's in it. Yeah, and Ray Fiennes is in it, and everybody's so wonderful in this film. I don't know some of the actors that are in the film, but just give us the superstars with the greatest respect to everybody else who's in it.
So yeah, we have Aaron Taylor-Johnson plays the father that takes his kid over onto the mainland, and his wife, the mother of the said boy, Alfie's called Spike in the movie, is played by Jodie Comer, who I'd never worked with before, and is, well, I think everybody here knows what she's capable of.
I've got a Jodie Comer question.
Yeah.
So how does it work, right? Which of these is most likely? Jodie Comer wanting to be in a Danny Boyle film, or Danny Boyle wanting Jodie Comer to be in one of his films?
Can I answer that question with a question?
Sure.
To test your intelligence committee. Do you know what job Jodie Comer's father does?
He's in charge of the gentrification and the diplomacy on the next Bond movie.
I knew you were going to say that. No.
So you don't walk this time.
He's the physio at Everton Football Club.
Hey, come on.
A real job. All right. As opposed to what we do.
Wow. So he will have known about Carl Walker way before the back page of the papers.
There you go.
No, I didn't know that. So what? So did you call her? Did she? How does it work?
Oh, I just kind of sent the script to her and said, please come and do it, will you? And she was amazing. She is wonderful, extraordinary. You know that she drops on a sixpence. She can literally drop on a sixpence. She's just got that talent.
Yeah.
And then she just turns away and she's having a giggle with the girls. You can hear them laughing, all the girls laughing. And you think they're laughing at you, because for some reason you think, well, but then they're just having a good time.
Percy Paranoia.
Yeah, that's normal. She's an amazing actress, actually.
And all the great actors are like that, aren't they? Because they say about Judi Dench and all the dames, basically. Who's Love Actually? Sorry. It's been on the show.
Emma Thompson.
She'll be giggling away, and then literally it's like action, and you're like, hang on a minute, where's she gone?
They drop on a sixpence.
What is that about?
I know, it's extraordinary, really amazing. And we got Ray Fiennes in it as well, who's plays a kind of Colonel Kurtz type figure, although it doesn't quite work out like that.
He's very orange in it.
He's very orange.
Why is he orange? Because
he covers himself in iodine.
Because
it
keeps the zombies away. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not quite that simple, but yeah.
Well, that's how I heard it. Yeah, no. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. I have to get to Paddington for 10. The show doesn't finish till 10. Quite incredible. No, he's good, and also he's looking good, man. He's shredded.
I know, he's kind of exercises on set and does all that to keep in condition.
His character is great in it. I think, because I did cry during the film. I cried tears of love and tenderness and vulnerability and empathy and compassion, which is not easy for me.
No, it's good.
No, but I really did. Yeah. And I think that he leads you to that gate because it's not the kid who's being heroic. It's not the mum who is experiencing something that she can't avoid. It's the doctor's tenderness and truthfulness with the child, which is... It's the truth. It's the worst news a kid can hear. But because it's the truth and he delivers the truth with such tenderness, it's better than delivering something that's slightly less true more normally.
Yeah, he the first half of the film is that, as I was saying, he's kind of led towards a kind of macho adulthood. The second half of the film is he's led towards a more complete, fuller manhoodness, where you have to accept Our eventual destiny is something that he has to understand, learn about, and accept. Yeah, and they play it very beautifully. Yeah, it's funny. I was on Westminster Bridge where we filmed the first film. They did this photo shoot there, and I saw the COVID memorial wall, which is this pink haze now running down the river, which has that same incredibly moving when you think, and it's nothing to do with governments or agencies or anything like that. It's just people wanting to remember. And we had this band, the Young Fathers, who did the soundtrack for us, and they wrote this song for that. And it's one of the reasons you'll have cried, Chris. I can tell you this is why. Is because of that tune that's playing. It's called Remember. Yeah,
music does it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Pictures, images, what you do for a living, but music is everything, isn't it? Music,
sound again. It's that sound factor again. It's without it, you're lost.
Yeah. So let's talk about Father's Day then, because I was a mess on Sunday. I was a mess. I was a sopping, needed to be mopped up mess, and I just about recovered. And I want to see your flipping film, and it got me all again. It's like, parents and kids, and are you the kid or are you the parent?
Oh, yeah,
are we always the kid?
Yeah.
When kids at school play grown-ups, they're just practicing for the future because we're still playing grown-ups, but we're never really grown up. We're always children. And then when you get a relationship between his mum and him in your film, your wonderful film that's out this Friday, as a viewer, you don't know where to go. You don't know whether you're being pushed or pulled, and that's why you unravel.
Yeah, you do, don't you? They always say there's nowhere to go to in the end but where you come from, and we come from that childhood, and we'll return to it one day.
Yeah, well, every day between 6:30 and 10.
Yeah,
it's funny, isn't it?
My kids took me to see a movie on Father's Day on Sunday. They took me to see Ballerina,
right?
The John Wick,
John
Wick sequel, which I didn't cry at. No.
Okay, but you went
before you asked, but I was there.
Yeah,
it was a nice gesture.
You talked about COVID. You talked about the memorial. If you ever come to London, you need to go. Basically, you get the Palace of Westminster and Westminster Bridge, and you cross Westminster Bridge. You turn right, you walk down the steps, and there it is. And it's the wall of St Thomas's Hospital.
Yeah.
And people were writing on it. If they lost a loved one, they went there and they wrote on it, or somebody wrote on it for them. And like you say now, it's this pink swirl of memory, isn't it? The film starts back 28 years ago with the Teletubbies, which is perfect. Quick question there. What are the great tools are there for referencing films? Cars are good, aren't they? Obviously, wallpaper, clothes.
For aging films,
but Teletubbies is good.
It's perfect, yeah.
It's good, all right, okay.
Yeah,
so put the telly on, or theme tunes and whatever's going on there. Obviously, it talks about a virus. It talks about a zombie virus. When you made this first film 23, 24 years ago now, that we hadn't had COVID, was this an idea pre-COVID, during COVID, or post-COVID? Because obviously that feeds into this thought process.
It's definitely influenced the kind of the film, because obviously what had happened is that it's suddenly everywhere. We'd seen every city in the world was transformed overnight. Something unthinkable outside movies, really, that they could literally change in front of your eyes and become almost unrecognisable and yet familiar. But it wasn't that. It was the fact what happened to our behaviour in COVID, that after that initial alarm and safety and defensiveness, you start to take slightly more risks every day. You don't wear the mask every day. And so if you extrapolate that into 28 years of experience, they would take enormous risks. Unimaginable risks they would take. And so he takes his son to the mainland where there are infected. If he'd done that 28 days after the original infection, everybody would call him insane.
Yeah.
And only Jodie Comer calls him... Well, she calls him a word I can't use.
By the way, there are many words that are in your film that you can't use.
Yes,
one in
on your
particular
show.
That's repeated louder and louder every time in the space of 30 seconds, just in case we didn't hear it the first time, which we all did.
But she thinks it's insane. But everybody else is has become accustomed to it and applaud him as he takes his 12-year-old son on this kind of mission to go and kill infected, to learn. It's literally like the army using live ammunition. It's literally like the full experience.
Or in hunting communities where the kids are blooded, aren't they?
Blooded, yeah.
Because that also happens. And there's a party waiting for him should he return. And all this kind of stuff as far as the British is concerned. Because you're Danny Boyle and you have won an Academy Award. You've only won one, haven't you? I just want to check. Okay, but only one. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant, he's me saying one. He's like, no, I actually won 7. All right, okay. Academy Award winning. That's how you get out of this. Academy Award-winning Danny Boyle. I mean, the expectation is high. Now, entitlement, outcome is one thing, expectation of outcome is another. It doesn't help people who are creating to have expectations of themselves in the end, but of course the audience is allowed to have an expectation.
Indeed,
because they're going to pay the money.
Yeah, they are,
and the producers are, and the whoever's funding the movie is. So the expectation is putting you back to where you were once when you were a lot younger. No, you were a quarter of a century younger, as we all were. And so you have to deliver, or at least try. And boy, oh boy, do you do things in this film that nobody's ever done in a zombie film before. Did you feel like you had to do that, or why wouldn't you do that? Or listen, come on, we're all going to die. Let's just get on with this.
No, it was that we had all these screenings. I didn't have them. I'd get invited to do a Q&A after a screening. This is like 15, 20 years after the original film was out. And I'd go along to support cinema, live cinema, all that kind of stuff. And they'd be packed with people, and there'd be kind of the energy in the room was shocking. And they, as they watched Killian towards the end of it, and it's like, whoa! And I used to say to Alex, we should have another go at this. We should come back to this world, because the appetite for this kind of apocalyptic experience is incredible and almost alarming, really, that clearly people's taste is they want to. I don't think anybody wants to live through the apocalypse, but they want to see one displayed to them and see if they can imagine themselves living through it, via the screen.
Alex Garland, of course, is who you're referring to. Tell us about Alex Garland.
Amazing writer. I mean, he's a director in his own right now. He's making movies on his own. But we met. He wrote this book, The Beach, and we used it to make a film. And he came along and watched us. And I think he got the taste for the company.
Well, it certainly worked, didn't it?
The company that's involved. I think lonely old novel writers, they see a movie with all these people wandering around, even the sound crew who nobody really pays any attention to, and they think, oh, this looks much more fun than writing a book on my own for 2 years. So he started screenwriting, and he wrote a screenplay for 28 Days Later, and we worked together on that. Then we did another film, Sunshine, and we fell out on that film, and then so this is our coming back together again.
Just tell us about falling out, because it's crazy. I'm all right with all this, because that's the business we're in. And by the way, if you don't fall out in our business enough without being inappropriate towards each other, then you're not really pushing the envelope far enough. Can you give us a flavour of that without getting too controversial about it?
Alex is very he's a hardcore atheist,
right?
And I'm not quite so sure.
Right, so you're agnostic.
Yeah, in effect, and I have a kind of spiritual side to myself that I wanted to be in the film, and he really didn't want it. So we disagreed about the ending of that film. Sunshine, this film about the mission to the sun, to reignite the sun. Yeah, a sci-fi film that we made. So we fell out about that, and we kind of agreed to separate. Listen, it wasn't deeply unpleasant, but we had a serious.
You don't even have to say that.
We have a serious disagreement about it. Yeah,
good for you.
And he said, "Oh, listen." I remember he wrote me a letter. He said, "Oh, well, I hope you have a better time with your writer on the next film." And then we went off and made Slumdog Millionaire. So it was like...
But without that agreeing to disagree, or not agreeing to disagree and disagreeing anyway, you don't get there, and you don't get... We are literally not having this conversation without you parting ways during that film.
Everything leads to everything else,
totally.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Again, Tash and I, sopping mess, because our son, 16, he goes off to work on Saturday away, and we just know that he's not coming back the same kid. It's the death of his childhood. And it happens. And we had a terrible time on Sunday. Terrible time. From the dynamic of extreme love to deep pain, because it's the same thing. If you get the up, you got to get the down, and that's why some people play life safe, because they don't want to experience so much of a down. But then mediocrity is fine and invisible till passion shows up. We talk about that all the time on this program. And yesterday we had a lovely day, because we'd risen from the ashes of our own Sunday, which was only love anyway.
Yeah.
And I think speaking back to the apocalyptic aspects of this film, and the people who are going to go and see it, and you say they gamify whether they could survive it.
Yeah.
The overwhelming response I had when I left was, thank God it's over, right? B, can't believe I cried. C, Danny Boyle's still really good. All that kind of stuff. Well done everybody who's in it. Well done especially the sound guys. Right? But I walked back to my car. I actually ran back to the car, and I thought, it just made me more grateful for the fact that we're nowhere near that. That's what I had coming out of it.
Yeah, good. Well, maybe that's because as you sense the world is, the horrors of the world are not diminishing. So maybe it's that. Maybe it gives you a chance to express your anxiety about it, and then the relief that we're not quite there yet. But yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? When you look at the world itself.
Yeah, and there are different ways of framing that, aren't there? There are always terrible things happening on the planet. There've always been terrible things happening. Have there been more terrible things happening more often? Tash and I were having, again, sorry to talk a lot, but we're talking about All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
And every time we are at all concerned about our lot in life, just watch that.
Yes, absolutely.
Just watch that.
Yeah.
The world, everything is great if you watch that film.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's the same with your crazy zombie film, isn't it? I never thought a zombie film would make me feel.
Yeah, it's a kind of
existentially positive.
Yeah, it's a kind of catharsis. That's classical catharsis, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel
you
good,
you
man.
expel it and you feel a better person for it, even though what you've watched might have been horrific. Yeah.
Well, Danny, I was very much looking forward to seeing you today, and I love your film, and I love you.
That's very sweet, Chris. Thank you very much.
What's it like to turn down a knighthood?
I felt very proud actually, because I thought they got it wrong. Really, the whole idea of doing it,
Doing what?
doing the Olympics and stuff like that.
For
which
people
is
who don't know, what did you do?
Oh, sorry, yeah, no. So I directed the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, and the whole idea of doing it was that we did it. No, we did it as a group of people, and it was about us all sharing something.
Yeah.
And then to elevate a single individual out of that just felt like inappropriate. You just thought, no, that wasn't the point. So don't do that.
Was that a gut response?
Yes, and the considered one later as well.
Yeah,
both.
that's interesting.
Yeah, both. Yeah, because
Interesting.
you get phone. If you're ever offered one, Chris, you get phone calls from people saying the reasons that you should accept this are like this. You should do it on behalf of everyone else, and all. The great and good ring you up and try and persuade you like that. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of that stuff goes on.
Well,
but we like I said, it was a gut reaction, like you said, and a considered one later as well.
So if you were offered one for your services to the movie industry, that might be a I'm not asking you to say yes or no. I'm just saying that might be a different response than in that case.
It was certainly, yeah.
So you're not anti-knighthoods or anything like that?
No,
by the way, no, I don't even want to get. I don't even care. I don't even care. I care about the first bit of the question. I didn't care about the second bit of my own question, and I mean that. It's interesting though. It's very interesting. I remember reading about the fact that because you don't turn one down, because you don't get offered one. You get offered the suggestion of one, and then you say no to that.
Yes, that's right.
So they can't ever say so and so turn. Well, we didn't offer him one. Well, I guess
well, technically, yeah, it's a technicality, isn't it? They worked it out.
Imagine if Academy Awards were the same. They go and the winner of the Best Picture, should they choose to accept it?
I know.
Excuse me. If we open the envelope, will you accept it? No. All right, can I have the other envelope, please? Thank you very much indeed. I heard that David Bowie also declined the suggestion of the offer of it. I thought, if I go into a pub and the knights are over there and the dames are over there and Danny Boyle and David Bowie are over there on their own, I want to be the third there, until Roger Daltrey got offered one this week. And then I'm back over with the knights again. So I'm talking nonsense now. Thank you for being here.
It's lovely. Thanks, Chris.
Great film, man.
Oh, great. Thank you
film.
so much.
28 years later, is out in cinemas across the planet on Friday. Can we hear it for Danny Boyle and his friends, please? Great film. Great film, great man. Awesome.